really effective when you look at other things like wrestling and jiu-jitsu? Is it the most effective way to grapple? Or judo? Is it the most effective way? No, it's not. But no one knew that back then. And he, at the time, in the 1980s and 90s, was a world-class martial artist. He just had a style that ultimately didn't really prove to be the best style. But so did I.
Right
I was doing Taekwondo.
No. This is hard to kill.
A lot of people were doing Kung Fu. A lot of people were doing things that they thought were legit, but they really, once the UFC came around, we found out if you enjoy doing something when you first start doing it, once you get better at it, you're going to enjoy it even more. That's a big thing with jiu-jitsu. With jiu-jitsu, it's a huge part of learning and growing with jiu-jitsu is trying it out, getting good at it,
You need to call out Jeremiah for me while we're podcasting.
I will. We'll set that up afterwards. The guy in 10th Planet, Des Moines.
10th Planet. I'm going.
You should do it. It'd be fun.
I want to do it.
And you're going to meet some nice people. They're not going to hurt you.
I don't want my archery shoulders ripped out of socket.
Stripe on their white belt. And that's just not how the world works.
I think that's why I like jiu-jitsu so much. Not because of the 10 classes and you get a stripe on your white belt, but the growth is incremental at best.
At best.
Best.
The best way to ensure more than incremental growth, though, is to do the difficult stuff. Drilling.
Roll with a dude who is just going to hand you your lunch.
I don't know if that's the best way.
No, I don't mean like rough hand you your lunch. The dude, everybody, to include myself, like you go to the gym and you're like, God damn it.
There's so many different schools of thought in terms of like what's best for performance.
What would you say is best for jiu-jitsu? What would you recommend for people with a strength training regimen?
I think most people feel that kettlebells are one of the best modalities for strength and conditioning for jiu-jitsu. Kettlebells, chin-ups, and things along those lines. Because one of the things about kettlebells is that it forces your body to work as a unit, right? Like when you're doing things that aren't sexy, like Turkish get-ups are a perfect example. Like that is a phenomenal exercise for jiu-jitsu. In America, most Brazilian jiu-jitsu, they start on the ground already. They'll start on the knees or something like that to avoid accidents. Because, you got a class full of 40 people rolling around together and they're trying to tackle each other and collide and people blow their knees out and things along those lines.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm training in Paris. Very big team. The coach is Mehdi Otman. He's very good. And he say for the future I'm very, very, very good. I learn fast. I learn very fast.
Of course. You're an elite athlete.
Yeah.
Now, at 26... how much time do you think you need?
The
Thai clinch.
Yeah, of course. This is good for MMA.
Now, in France, is it easy to get wrestling? Do you get wrestling training?
In France I get grappling training. I think here in USA you call that BJJ no-gi.
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. No-gi.
Yeah. That's why I'm training in France. It's a very.
What about
very
takedowns or takedown defense, wrestling?
But this style of no-gi training I get is a little bit different, like as BJJ, because we start on our feet.
A core principle of his was to allow the opponent to move and spend as much training time as possible in transition. And while most jiu-jitsu guys, as you know, as they're coming up the ranks, egos are controlling, they're holding guys.
Yeah.
And,
No, is this him?
Yeah,
he's already a black belt here.
Yeah, this is after he moved to start training with Fabio in Sao Paulo. And it's such a beautiful thing because if you watch his style,
which is very, very unpredictable, very wild. My relationship with my father, my brothers, my growing up as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, my times of parties in Brazil, and so it's all my life, which I felt like even my mistakes I use to become a better person. So it was a process, an evolutionary process, which I'm very proud of it, because today, even though I'm physically...
Techniques, it became the most important aspect of jiu-jitsu. To this day, when I talk to people, I always say, like, the best instructors, it seems like a lot of them are smaller people, because those smaller people, they can't muscle their way out of these things.
Yes.
Like sometimes when you get a really big, strong guy, they can use too much physical strength. But the small guys, they don't have that option, so everything has to be technical. It has to be precise. It has to be perfect.
Yes. There's no handle life, problems, situations, and so on.
And I always tell people that I believe that jiu-jitsu is the best martial art for real life conflict, because in training, you're really going 100%. It's like if you go 100% all the time with kickboxing, you knock each other out every day. You can't do that. You'll be damaged. You'll get brain damage. You'll have to quit.
Yes.
But in jiu-jitsu, when you have a training partner, they could be your brother. You could love them, but you're trying to choke them and they're trying to tap you. And also, it was a great benefit to me to, I guess I was 27 or 28, start from scratch in jiu-jitsu. So to have competency in striking and to be a good striker and then go into something where I was a complete beginner was very, very valuable for me.
Now you master both.
No, not quite. I'm mediocre at both. But the point is that I learned how to start. It's very good for your ego to be shot down and to become a beginner. And some people think that the best way to handle it is to look at the very basics of jiu-jitsu and just hone those to a razor sharpness.
I love the fundamentals. Those fundamentals are the core of efficiency. But those fundamentals, sometimes they connected with different elements of creativity, and because the guys, they training like crazy today and always been, but the evolutionary process of the tournaments and the grips.
A lot of people that they learn how to deal with life through the struggle of jiu-jitsu, because the struggle of training is so much harder than most of the struggles that you face in your daily life. It makes you more accustomed to dealing with uncomfortable positions.
I will tell you a funny story that what jiu-jitsu does for you. My older daughter had some health issues, like at 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that, and called the doctor and said, look, I gotta go and get this inhaler or something at the pharmacy. Man, I was wearing my pajamas, driving crazy to the pharmacy. And as I'm walking in, have a guy walking very basic, different than the time that you're training for competition, which is and have a lot of explosions and
right.
This way, just trying to maintain, and everything else I do in jiu-jitsu. Some days I train pushing more, some days I pushing less. Some days I just train in defense, some days I train, okay, I got to finish everybody today, or I got to mount everybody today. You kind of make your training a goal for your training. This way you're always excited to do it.
Right.
And not having the same thing.
And once I started learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I fell in love with it right away, because that gave me something that I could do where I could be competitive with the adults right away. I was a long, lanky kid, and the guard just, felt natural to me. And just being on the ground, I really loved it. And I loved the technique of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, how technical it was, and the science of it. So I fell in love with it right away. And I mean, we sacrificed a lot to learn jiu-jitsu. Being in Oklahoma, always traveled to learn, and not near the technique that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has. So whenever he first started learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he fell in love with it. My dad's a smaller guy. At that time, he was probably like 145, 150 pounds. And so it was perfect for him, and he fell in love with it, and he comes home and he starts telling me about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and teaching me what he learned. And we lived in Oklahoma, and the instructor conference was in California. At that time, basically, the only Jiu-Jitsu was in California, maybe a little bit in Florida, and then Henzo was in New York. So everything was as far as possible from us, under my father, under the Jeet Kune Do system. And I did one fight, and I enjoyed it, and I said, I got to do more, and I got to do at least one more.
So were you, the whole time you were doing jiu-jitsu, were you training kickboxing at all? Were you doing any wrestling?
Well, I always did wrestling, to supplement.
As a part of your training?
Yeah, supplement Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the Nogi competitions, ADCC, things like that. And I just believed in training everything, to judo as well.
But what about practicing ground and pound?